Hi, guys. Welcome to the Get It Done podcast with Erin, the podcast where I talk to business owners about their business, what they're doing, how they got to where they are, and just their overall story in business. I basically talk to business owners that I've never met before. Majority of the people are people that I've never met before, unless they are my friends, and I have a couple of family in business, but I'm talking to people that I don't know. I do not know their story. I find it more interesting when I'm talking to complete strangers. Asking them questions. It's easier for me to ask a stranger questions that I already know the answers to. It's hard for me to ask those questions over again. So I was just like, why not talk to people I don't know? The reason why I'm doing my podcast is because I too am in business, and the business that I do is a service-based business. I talk to lots of different people, and I get to hear a lot about them, a lot about their personal lives, a lot about their stories, um, the things that they want to do, the things that they would hope to do or wish to do. And the reason for them not doing it is just because they're scared. And I have an understanding that the more we are around people that are doing a thing, the more that we are hearing about people doing the thing, the more that we are seeing people do things, the more that we are inspired to do things as well. So my prayer for this podcast is that someone would see this that is just simply afraid to do whatever it is that they want to do. But because they've heard one of our stories, that they are inspired to um, do their thing as well. So I'm gonna just go ahead and add today's guest to the stage. Hi,
Hello, hello, Queen
how
Erin.
are you?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'll just let you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business.
Yes, thank you so much. So, my name is Dr. Carmen. My full name is Dr. Carmen McNeil-Clinkscales, but I go by Dr. Carmen. And I am the magical menstruation maven. And yeah, right. And for some people, that's a mouthful. So I just want to say it again. I'm the magical menstruation maven, and that is for everyone. You see, what I have found is that in so many ways, that the topic of menstruation is a taboo, is a stigma. People are embarrassed to talk about it, both those who menstruate and those who do not
Yeah,
menstruate.
especially those who do not.
And what I have seen is that this is a natural human experience process that's required for the human species to continue. But does it make sense that it has this negative stigma? No, it does not. And so I'm here to suggest that that's by design, okay, to keep those who menstruate disconnected from their bodies, not understanding the power of their bodies. Because when we're knowledgeable, we're powerful. And also, for those who do not menstruate, when they understand more about the process, it actually connects everybody. So that's a little bit on what I do.
Okay.
Take a
Okay, so
breath. Take a breath.
okay, so what are you doing now? What is the business?
Yes. So the business is actually helping to dismantle this stigma
Oh,
around
so informative.
menstruation. Yes.
Okay.
And so the way that I do that is I have a couple of signature workshops.
Okay.
So one of them is called Power to the Period.
Oh, Jesus.
And that is for young people and a parent or primary caregiver. And so, what we do in that workshop, and it can definitely be customized, it's a 4 hour total workshop. But what we do is about the first 2/3 or so is just spent with me and the young people, connecting with them, giving them some basic information, planting seeds of body positivity, helping them understand some basic anatomy, which, trust me, young people do not know. And we teach them how to track their cycle, how important that is. We teach them how the menstrual cycle is a guide for self-care. That is not being taught at all.
Yeah.
And so we focus on body-friendly, non-toxic period care products as well, which is so important.
I
And
love
then
that.
yes, and then for the last third, the parent comes in for each young person. And we just have a beautiful connection with parent and young person. So the young people teach their parents what they learned, and the parents are in amazement because they didn't know none of the
They
stuff.
like, wait, what?
And this is, I just really want to emphasize, this is for moms and dads, uncles,
Yeah.
grandfathers, aunties, uncles. You
Yeah.
know, everybody must be involved in this process because the cycle, see, there's a cycle of ignorance
Mhm.
around the menstrual cycle. And the
Yeah.
cycle of ignorance keeps us separated. That's what keeps the shame going. That's what keeps the embarrassment going. Frankly, that's the bottom of the teasing that happens at school, and why some young people are afraid to go to school because when they're on their period, because they might have a
Mhm.
leakage or whatnot, right? All that negativity comes from that sort of cycle of ignorance. So we have to start talking about it more. We have to include everybody in the conversation. And so what I do is I help to create safe spaces for that to occur. So for those parents out there that are like, whoa, I have a preteen, I know it's coming, I'm scared, I don't know what to say, I don't know
Yeah.
how to handle it, then I am your person. Dr. Carmen is your person, your go-to PhD, to create a safe space and comfortable space to ask whatever questions, no judgment, none of that going on. So that's one of my signature workshops. The second signature workshop is for grown folks. These are for grown folks who menstruate. These are for folks ages 25 to 45, right? In that age category. And that one is called Rock with Your Menstrual Rhythm.
Okay.
Because yes, Miss Erin, what I discovered is that there are so many grown folks who menstruate who have so much healing to do around their cycle. They still carrying a lot of trauma around it, either how they learned about it, how they didn't learn about it. I didn't share so far that my background is in psychology. So I have a PhD in psychology, and I have actually interviewed a variety of people around their menstrual story, meaning men and women, trans folks. I have interviewed all the people, and there is just so much trauma underneath it that needs to be, released, right? So that's the second signature workshop. And then the third one is called Fearless Father-Daughter Talks. And that, right? Don't you get to touch grab your pearls, touch your heart.
Right.
Because the other thing that I discovered is that there are so many dads who want to support their daughters through this process and
Yeah.
have no clue how to do it. And
They
it's
get
not about,
uncomfortable.
well, it's not about blaming anyone. It's because of that cycle of ignorance that I talked about earlier, right? So the folks who menstruate, we're socialized from very, very young. When we start, have our first period, we're socialized to keep it a secret. We're
Mm-hmm.
socialized to not let anybody know that we're on our period, especially people that don't menstruate. Like, we really got to keep it from them. But
Mm-hmm.
what that does is that means they don't know about it. That means they have no clue. That means they're going around thinking that, people can hold their blood like they hold their pee. No, it doesn't work like that. Basic,
Yeah.
information. And
Yeah, I remember
so,
when I first started, I didn't tell my mom that I started my period. And then this is so funny that I'm talking to you about this today. So I came to see my guy, and I wasn't gonna come. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna come because I think my period is coming. He was like, so what that mean? He was like, it's a part of life. I was just like, I don't know.
well,
But
that
yeah.
there's just so much shame couched in it. And like you said, you didn't tell your mom.
I
I,
didn't tell her for a long time. And then when I did tell her, it wasn't even like a conversation. Well, I had learned about it at school because we had some workshop or something. But even in the workshop, I couldn't even, I was very young. It was probably about second or third grade, and I really was sick to my stomach. Like when they were talking about it, I couldn't stomach it. It was just, I've always been like weird in those areas. But even with my mom, she, once she found out, she just like bought me pads, and she made sure she brought me like a little thing to keep it in my closet, and she just kept the pads full. So that was my conversation with my mom about my period. So, and
Right.
she's just, the older I've got, the more comfortable I'm like, no, I'm on my period. And she'll like, you'll still see like a kind of cringe, or like she's still uncomfortable with it, which is so funny. She has two daughters.
Yeah, well, that's that shame, and it's long
Yeah.
standing. And I want to ask you a question, Erin. So, what going back to your childhood self, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
started your period, what do you think was behind you not sharing with your
Sharing.
mom?
Um, Well, for me, because it went deeper than being on my period. I was just so private. Like I was like, if my mom would come in the bathroom or something, like I would like grab my towel, like I don't want her to see me. And mom would be like, "Girl, please, you don't have nothing." So I was just always that kind of girl. I think I grew out of it. I didn't grow out of that. Even like in high school and stuff, I was like, make sure I had my towel, my robe and stuff on. I probably grew out of it once I like moved out the house and had a man and all that. So I'm like, if they could see it, who like, so, but I don't know where it came from. It was just, we didn't talk that much about like, even like once I started having sex and stuff, it wasn't like an open conversation with her. I just think she just always been uncomfortable with stuff like that. Now we can kind of sit and have those conversations, but sometimes because I'm very vocal and like now I'm a completely different person, but she even having certain conversations about sex now, she's like, "Ooh, Erin, you said that," or like, so I think that's just who she is, like coming from old school. And because my grandmother's the same, they all look at me like, "Oh my goodness, Erin, you watch your mouth," or like, so I think that was just embedded in them as to being a lady. Um, and it just created, like you said, it was just a level of uncomfort, which leads back to ignorance if once you uproot everything.
Absolutely. And so many people that I've talked to had a similar story where they didn't share, with their mom. One was because they thought they were going to get in trouble.
Oh no, I didn't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They thought they were going to get in trouble. So I
Oh,
have one
that's
person.
sad. I mean, that's like heartbreaking.
Right, exactly. And I'm
Yeah,
telling you, there are so many heartbreaking stories
I'm
out there
sure.
around the menstrual cycle because, like you said, there's just so much shame. It's couched in negativity. It's connected to sex because now you could get pregnant,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so, one of the women that I have worked with, she said, when she started her period, the women at the church we're like, now you better keep your legs closed. Don't be out there, don't be fast. You gotta
Oh,
watch. You gotta
wow.
watch it.
Dang.
But that was all she learned. So she like, what are you talking about?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so when you approach it from that way, it's not empowering. It's disempowering.
Hmm.
And so we're telling young people, don't be out there, don't be fast. You can now get pregnant, but we're not telling them about their bodies. So how am I supposed to know how to not get pregnant?
Right. Because it sounds like it's saying as if, okay, before, go and do what you want to do. But now that your period's here, don't do it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And again, not to place blame anywhere. This is just, society's history around this.
Yes. How'd you get started in this?
So, as I mentioned, my educational background is in psychology. I've been teaching since 1998. And probably about 10 years ago, I started teaching a class called The Psychology of Women. And
Mhm.
that's when I really started delving in and just reading more, around the menstrual cycle and different people's experiences. So, one, like the question I asked earlier, I was like, wait a minute. If this is a natural body process that's required for the human beings to continue, why is this disrespected? Why is it not getting its props? Why is it not being respected? So I started looking, more and more into that and just realizing that we are being taught that the menstrual cycle is dirty. we are being taught that it is shameful. We're being taught that it's a curse. People who menstruate are being taught that their bodies are less than because they have periods. And it causes actually so much shame, anxiety, fear, and it's very, very oppressive, actually, in terms of how people feel about their bodies. So I was like, hold up, this ain't even right. This don't even make no sense. This is not even logical. So because that negativity and that shame, though, is like so ingrained, I was like, I really, really want to do my part, to dismantle this stigma, because I'm very clear that I was put on the planet to empower girls and women, and this is just one of the ways that I am doing it. And the beauty of what I found is that it doesn't just benefit people who menstruate. It benefits also people who don't menstruate, because you mentioned going to go see your man, right? And so many romantic relationships are disconnected when a woman is on her period, because the guy, if the partner is a guy, he's like, shoot, I don't understand what's going on. I'm walking on eggshells. I'm going to stay away for 5 days and then I'm going to come back and it's all be cool. That ain't cool.
Yep.
That's not cool. But when he understands all 4 phases of the cycle, because that's another thing that we are not clear about, that most people just think they're on the period or they're off. That's not how it works. There's actually 4 distinct phases. And when he understands all 4 phases of the cycle, and when he understands his partner's patterns, he can help to be of support. Like, oh, okay, you need that hot chocolate? Let me get you the hot chocolate, right? Or let me rub your feet, or let me rub your back, or let's cuddle on the couch.
That's
whatever it is, boom. Ain't that amazing?
It's funny that you're saying all this, because I used to date a guy. He was probably one of the sweetest boyfriends, but he used to get excited when I got on my period because he was so catering. Like we celebrated everything in the relationship. We'll start there, but like he was so like sweet during that time and catering, and yeah, so I just thought about him while you were talking about that. But
Yes, and it's beautiful. So not only does it can it connect romantic partners, but as we were talking about earlier, it can also connect fathers and daughters. Because unfortunately, what tends to happen is that, little girls are growing up, they're daddy's girl, right? Dad is really, really affectionate and loving. But when she starts to develop, when she starts to need a bra, right? When she starts to develop, sometimes dads start to pull back because they're not sure now how to engage. And a little, 9-year-old or 10-year-old or 12-year-old, in their minds, they're like, hey, what happened? How come daddy's not so loving as he was, previously? And I've had many women tell me this story, and that they thought, that their dad did not love them anymore. And that's another heartbreaking story. They really thought their dad did not love them anymore because he just didn't know how to engage. He did not have the language to be able to initiate conversations and plant seeds of body positivity. Now, let me tell you, when it comes to a daughter's self-esteem, having a father who can initiate these conversations and plant those seeds of body positivity, baby, this is how dads really protect daughters. Because, dads want to protect daughters. They want to shelter them. They want to keep them safe. But that's not how you do it, because they don't learn nothing when they're at home sitting in front of the TV. They need to learn from conversation with dad. They need to learn about what's out there. They need to learn about the realness of it. They need to learn about the wolves in sheep's clothing. And dad can teach that. He just has to be comfortable with initiating the conversation, or he just has to be okay with being uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. I always say this. I had both parents in the household growing up, but I say this all the time. I was raised by my dad. Like my dad, a huge portion, he probably doesn't even know this, but a huge portion of who I am today is because of the seeds that were planted, the conversations we had, the time that we spent together, just so many different things. And he was always so like, even like now, like I'm so, like I said, I'm just so open, but I say all the crazy stuff and the stuff that like my mom cringes at. He's like, oh, okay. Or like, we'll just have the conversation. So it's just, yes, Birdie Paw. One of my friends says, Dr. Carmen, you're so right. Simply a real man to sum it up. Yes. But she knows my dad and she just said his name. But yes, like it's very empowering to have that man in our lives to build us up, or just to even be there to listen and him try to figure it out one way or another.
Right. And fathers
Yeah.
and daughters, they can learn together. They can learn
Mm-hmm.
together and it can
Yep.
be all positive.
Yes. So how was your experience with in your household when you started your period? Was it a good experience?
So before I started my period, like you said, you have the little sex ed class at
Mm-hmm.
school, right? So they teach you some basic stuff, which by the way, there was a whole lot of stuff missing. But anywho, so had that class, and my friends and I, we would talk about it before it came. We were like excited, like, let me know when you would get yours. Da, 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 da. And so I remember when my period came, I was at home and I was all excited and I told my mom and she gave me the little, the lesson on how to use the period care products, which is now a more positive term. They used to be called, or some people still call them sanitary napkins or what have you. So, but then after that, my mom got on the phone and called her mom, right? So now she's now talking to my grandmother. But she was whispering, you know? And I thought, oh, wait, again, I'm 12, I'm like 11 or 12, so I'm a
Right.
kid, I don't understand. But what I interpreted was, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be excited about this. Oh, maybe it's supposed to be a secret because my mom is whispering, on the phone. So that one experience, again, as 11, 12-year old, completely shifted my experience about it. And then of course, growing up, certainly experienced teasing, certainly experienced the anxiety of having a leakage, or like, oh yes, I did bleed through my clothes, let me tie the sweatshirt around my waist. Fast forward to high school, I was dating a person, and we were at his friend's house. It was mostly guys there. And I, at the time, was pretty quiet. I like to sort of observe people. And one of his friends said, oh, what's wrong with you? It must be that time of the month. You must be on your period. And I was just mortified. I was like, what? Can we cuss on here? Let me ask. Can we cuss on
Yeah,
here?
girl,
Okay.
it's your house. You can say
I
whatever you
was like, no, you're just being an ass. Like, why would you say that to me?
want.
And he said it in front of everybody. So I was just like so embarrassed. And so again, that ignorance has people who don't menstruate thinking that if a person who menstruates is upset, well, she must be on her period. No, maybe there's something like really, really going on that you
Right.
need to pay attention to. Maybe you're being a jerk. Maybe you're being ignorant. Maybe you have biases that you need to pay attention to. So that was sort of my experience, growing up. And certainly then there's that whole question of, and it's a preference about whether you want to have sex when you're on your period. Some people like it, some people don't. But hey, whatever works for you and your partner, right? Some people call it, I heard in the military, they call it the red wings. Did you get your red wings yet? Right? I'm telling you, I talked to so many people.
I ain't never heard that one.
Yes, they called it the red wings. Did you get your red wings? So, a lot of, I would say, negative experiences, particularly around that shame, not wanting to, people when I'm in the public restroom to hear me open up the wrapper, for the period care products and, all of that. But, what I discovered, Queen Erin, from when I actually started really reading about the menstrual cycle, particularly globally, that how something is talked about is a huge indicator on how it's going to be perceived. And what I mean by that is that in countries where the menstrual cycle is at least neutral, meaning not negative in terms of how it's talked about,
Right.
but particularly when it's positively discussed, when young people who start their period have a beautiful rite of passage ceremony, there's intention about how they are initiated out of childhood into the next phase of development. They don't have all the complaints of, PMS and feeling like their body is a curse and that embarrassment. So that helped me start paying attention, like, well, wait a minute. If they're talking about it positively and not having all these complaints around, bloating and all this other stuff, but we're talking about it negatively, and we do have all these, complaints about it, calling it Shark Week and all this other stuff. I was like, what's going on? And again, my background is psychology, and I know that the mind and body are connected. The mind and body are connected. So how it's talked about heavily influences how it's going to be experienced. So I was like, we have got to start changing the language about it.
I love that. So I did hear you talk somewhat about in the intro about natural products.
Okay. Yes.
So fun fact, or I don't know if it's a fun fact or not, but once I changed to natural pads, I wear tampons every now and then, but once I changed to natural products, I don't get I don't get periods. I don't get cramps, and my period is way lighter. Like, I don't have a heavy period at all. Sometimes heavier than other, but that's just because I've been eating junk. But huge difference, and I tell my friends all the time, like, you have to start, because I have friends that just cramp like crazy, heavy flows, and I'm like, it's the pad. I mean, like, your pads and your tampons that you're using. Although it does take time to, like, I guess I wouldn't say heal, but it is a process. But huge change, like game changer for real.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because this is the irony. For so many years, when it comes to period care products, so where they're used is on a very absorbent area of the body. Okay, so whether you're using a tampon that's going in the vagina, whether you're using a pad that's on your vulva, which is all the outside part, right? It's a very absorbent area of the body. And so many period care products have toxic junk in them, carcinogens in them, that on the low end have been linked to, rashes or outbreaks or, something relatively minor. But on the high end have been linked to reproductive issues, have been linked to cancer. So what's the irony of that? That is so not cool. So now there's beginning to be more awareness, and there's more availability out in the marketplace of body-friendly, non-toxic products. So when you're out there looking, if you look on the box that you say no chlorine, no perfume, you don't want no perfume, you don't want that.
No perfume in the coochie.
No, don't do it. And a lot of people did not realize, like what you just said, that it was the products they were using that were contributing to their discomfort. It wasn't even the period itself, it was the products.
Yeah, game changer, for sure for me. I love this. I'm so excited about this. Okay, so what are you working on right now that you are very excited about in business?
Yes, well, I'm very, very excited because next month I will be speaking at Diablo Valley College. So I'm in California in the Bay Area. Nice. And I'm going to be speaking at Diablo Valley College. And my talk is entitled Dismantling Menstrual Stigma, Using Counter Narratives as an Act of Social Justice. So this is a big piece. And they love this topic so much that they actually have booked me to speak there twice. So I'm going to be doing a back-to-back, one during the evening on Wednesday, April 10th, and then the next day on Thursday, April 11th, during the day. And it can be accessed virtually as well. So definitely want to encourage folks to reach out to me if you want to know more about that. But the other thing that I am really, really excited about is I am on a hunt for my next 4 hosts of one of these workshops that I have been talking about. So I have my Power to the Period workshop. I have my Rock with Your Menstrual Rhythm workshop. I have my workshop entitled Fearless Father-Daughter Talks. So I am looking for my next 4 hosts who want to partner with me, help spread this message of body positivity, help to connect. And being a host, all it includes is tapping into your sphere of influence, your social network, bringing together 7 to 10 people. And when you do that, your own registration, because you're trying to learn something, can be free, can be absolutely free. And for those hosts who contact me immediately saying, yes, I want to be one of the 4, then I will give a 25% discount for everyone who registers. So I'm really, really excited about that, because when we, do this in people's homes, when we do this virtually, I've done them at local libraries, it is just so empowering. People leave the workshops feeling confident. They're feeling connected, with each other and to themselves. They're feeling happier. The last time I spoke on the same topic at another college. And one of the young men came up to me, college student, afterward. And he said, Dr. Carmen, he was like, I'm really, really close with my little sister. She's 13 and she's probably started her period, but I don't know. And, we're really close. And I want to know how to talk with her about this. What do I say? I could have started crying right there. That's like the point.
So sweet.
That's the point. So I gave him some tips and I was like, yes, it warmed my heart, because this is a big brother wanting to connect with his younger sister in that way, wanting her to feel positively about their body. So I'm in search of my next 4 hosts. And if you want to be one of those people, there's a lot of different ways that you can reach out to me. You can email me. You can actually email me right now. info@drcarmenmcneil.com is my email address. If you want, you can go on my website, periodofempowerment.com. You can click around, see a little bit more of what I'm about. There is a freebie tab there, which gives you some tips on how to talk about periods in a positive way. And then, Miss Erin, if you're ready for me to share, I have a little discount on an amazing cycle tracking journal that is absolutely fantastic. Can I share that with the people?
Sure.
So one of the ways of understanding your bodies, and again, this is for people who menstruate and those who do not, is to be able to understand the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle. And so this is one of the things that I teach in all 3 of those workshops that I just mentioned. And so there are cycle tracking apps out there, which are totally cool, totally fine if you want to go the electronic route. But I really love, and I'm going to hold this up, this beautiful cycle tracking journal. It is absolutely amazing. It is so comprehensive. You're tracking everything from your sleep patterns. You're tracking your eating, your drinking. I'm going to say this, you're tracking your bowel movements, because the menstrual cycle is a guide for self-care. Some people even call it the 5th vital sign. Like, that's how important it is. And so I am offering everyone a 10% discount. If you go to bit.ly/cycle tracking journal, Carmen McNeil, you put in the little discount code Carmen McNeil, you get a 10% off your cycle tracking journal. So these are some of the things I'm really, really excited about, Erin.
I love it. Moving a little bit past excitement, what are you grateful for today, since we're on the topic of excitement?
Yes, well, I am grateful to be here. I am grateful to be in this space. I am grateful to have connected with you. I am grateful for you being such an open-minded podcast host and creating a platform for this. I'm grateful for the folks who were watching and who will see this, in the future as well. I am grateful already for those 4 people, those 4 hosts who are going to identify themselves. I'm so grateful for all of that. So thank you for asking.
Yes. You did mention earlier about you being a speaker. So how long have you been a speaker?
Oh my gosh, probably about 20 years. So I mentioned that I'm very clear that I've been put on the planet to empower girls and women. And so I have been speaking at conferences, women's professional business organizations. I have a signature workshop that I do on diversity. I often do it at schools, so at high schools, at colleges. I've done it. I did it actually this year for the most recent MLK celebration, which is absolutely fantastic. Sororities, fraternities, nonprofits, churches, all of those I've been doing for a long, long time and absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Do you remember when you first got started and how did you feel, if you do?
I do. So actually, it started with me teaching. So I've been teaching since 1998. And after getting my master's degree from Boston College in counseling psychology, I thought that I wanted to be a therapist. And I was like, whoa, this is heavy. I can't do this. And
Yeah.
so I changed my mind. And I said, you know what? I think I want to try this teaching thing. And I was working in community-based organizations, working with young people, working still in mental health. And so I went back to the community college that I attended, and my psychology instructor that I had when I was a student was still there. And I let him know that I wanted to try it out. And so I shadowed him for a semester. And then after that, he gave me my own class. Erin, I was so nervous. I was shaking in my boots. I had a gazillion pages of notes. I was standing in front of the class reading my notes,
Oh, how
knees shaking, all of that. But with anything, I'm so glad that I gave it a shot. Right. I'm so glad that I moved past my nerves. I'm so glad that I now understand that I don't have to be false in front of anyone, that I just need to be me, and then I'm more relaxed.
Yeah.
And the students, or whether it's participants in my workshops, they really, really appreciate it. So teaching gave me the foundation for public speaking.
Yep.
I just absolutely love connecting with folks, helping them have those aha moments, helping them, to the point where after they come up, after we're done, they come up to me and say, thank you so much for being you. And
Yep.
so it's a beautiful thing.
Yes. So talking about working through those nerves, can you speak on that and can you let us know how important you think that is in maybe something mind shifting? The reason I'm asking is because I know people that their desire is to be public speakers. I know like a couple people personally, but they're scared to do it. And then when you said that, I was like, oh, let's highlight this. So, yeah. What would you have to say to the girl or guy that is just nervous to do it?
Yeah, so I will share that when I first started teaching and I shared my story when I first got my first class and how nervous I was, what I was nervous about really, Erin, was people seeing my flaws.
Mm.
That's what I was really nervous about. I was nervous that I would not appear perfect in front of everyone. And so I'm a horrible speller. So now I just tell you. But back as an early educator, I tried to mask it. You can't mask that. That wasn't no spell
Not in front
check
of a
back
class.
then. I told you I've been teaching since 1998. You can't mask it. So you could just imagine the anxiety that I would feel standing in front of the classroom trying to
Yeah.
mask what I saw as this flaw instead of
Just saying,
focus,
y'all, I can't spell.
instead of that, and focusing on my students' needs. See, I was focused on myself. I was being self-centered instead of being of service and focusing outward. So for those people who want to be a public speaker, focus on how you're going to be of service to your audience. Focus on being real and authentic. That's what we want ultimately. We want to hear from folks that we can connect to, right? We want to
Yeah.
hear from folks that we can relate to. And so I would just say, if you want, you can start small, do something at a library or something like that, or speak at your kid's school, or, whatever. Start there and then think of each one as an experiment, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And decide what you're going to try. And then you go back and you evaluate for the next one and try something else. And after every time you speak, you better ask somebody in there, who else would be interested in this message? Because you're asking for a referral, because you need to keep booking, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would suggest as far as getting started.
I love that. And going back to, you said that you connected with your instructor. And I always, I guess, pinpoint how important relationships are. And what would you say is, or how important do you think relationships are, especially in business?
Oh, they're critical. They're absolutely critical. Like, you can't do this by yourself. It just
Really?
is really, really tough. And so you need a support network, right? You need a support network. You need to be talking to as many people as possible, building as many relationships as possible. So when you're not around and something comes up that would be good for you, you have someone saying, oh, you need to contact Erin for that. Yeah, I got the person, right?
Yeah.
So the work is happening and you're not even present.
Yeah.
And so building those relationships is just so critical. But I just really want to emphasize just being yourself, being
Yeah.
authentic,
Very important.
trusting your intuition,
Yes.
about who you connect with. And just know that, everything is an experiment. Be very, very clear about not only your personal values, but your business values. Be very, very clear about that, because that will help you discern who to reach out to, and who not to.
Yeah.
um, so those relationships are absolutely critical.
Yes, I agree. Is there something you wish you had known, before starting your business, that would probably get you to the goal closer, or sooner
Actually,
than later?
yeah. Well, I said you just can't do this by yourself. Well, I learned that the hard way. So I
Me
wish that I would have known
too.
the importance of
Of
connecting.
the relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I mentioned
Yes.
earlier that I'm naturally quiet. Nobody would believe that now, but if you talk to my
Me too.
family, they know that I was quiet. I'm an introvert, right? I'm an introvert. And so, we introverts can sometimes hibernate, and be by ourselves. And it can feel very, very lonesome, and it just makes the struggle bigger. So I wish I had known early on how important it is to build connections, even with people who are in the same industry as you. That can be important as well.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have known that sooner.
Yes. Talking about people in the same industry. So, how do you feel about competition?
So for me, I feel like there really is none. And let me
Period.
tell you
That's
why.
what I say.
Let
I
me tell
say,
you
what
why.
competition? There is no competition.
So certainly there's other people out there doing stuff in your industry, right?
Yeah.
But nobody does it like you. So nobody can do it the way Erin does it.
Yeah.
Nobody has Erin's personality because it's hers. And so people are going to flock to Erin because they like her.
Yeah.
And so there are certainly people out in this industry. We call it the menstrual health industry. So that's, the industry that I am in. There are a lot of people, and more coming now, doing things, in this industry. Some people focus on period poverty, which has to do with access to period care products. Some
I like
people have,
period poverty.
well, some people cannot afford their period care
Yeah.
product, and that's
Yeah.
real, right?
Yeah.
So some
I was,
people, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's so sad to like not be able to, and then you have to figure out what to do.
There's only
Yeah.
so much toilet paper, right?
Right.
So, so some people focus on that. Some people focus on education in schools and just basic stuff. But even that doesn't teach positivity. That's what I teach.
Yeah.
I teach that the menstrual cycle is actually sacred. It's actually spiritual when you really connect to your body and understand how your body works and how it's a guide for self care. Each phase of the menstrual cycle, it teaches you how to go about your everyday. We call it syncing your life with your cycle. And
Mm-hmm.
so no one can teach that like me. So, in that sense, there is no competition because it's just me.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
people who like me are going to be attracted to me. And I'm like, yeah, y'all, let's work together.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that.
so yeah.
I have because that's what a lot of people's concern is. In talking to people that want to start businesses, they're like, well, there's already so many people here doing it, or whatever it is, the thing that they want to do. And I'm like, the bread aisle, like, there's so many different breads, like, whatever it is that you have to offer, even if you and the next person next to you is doing the same exact thing, got trained by the same people, went to the same, did everything the same, it's still going to be different because it's you. And the other person's is going to be different because of them. And whoever's for them will go over there, and whoever's for you will go over there. So I
Yes.
just,
You just have to figure out what's unique about you. What's
yes.
your superpower? And
Yep.
that's what you talk about.
Yep. Or present it. Yes, I totally agree. Um, I do this just for fun. I call it the 5 word game. So I say a word, you say a word. So I say the word, whatever comes to your mind, you say one word, vice versa. You're gonna say a word, whatever comes to my mind. We're gonna go back and forth for 5 words.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Sunshine.
Ooh, beauty and warmth. Oh, you said only one word. Sorry.
Which word you gonna pick?
I'm going to pick warmth.
Warmth. Um, Kisses.
Ooh, loving. And I keep coming up with more than one word.
Man.
Ooh, succulent.
Yummy.
Ooh, juicy.
I don't want to say that. Juicy fruit.
What's that song? Oh, shoot. I can't think of the song.
Juicy fruit.
Yeah, yeah. I can't sing, so y'all, the people don't want to hear me sing, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Juicy. I used to like that song. A good question that you would ask another business owner.
What's your truth?
What's your truth? What's your truth? That's my question.
Yes. So, yes, I'm ready. So my truth is,
I don't think I would know how to answer that question.
well, I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay. I'll be like, well, maybe
So,
I would. I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely would.
Yeah.
So, my truth is that when women are really connected to themselves, when mind, body are connected, when they're feeling good about their bodies, regardless of what it looks like, when they really understand the value that they bring, then it's beautiful for everybody. It's beautiful for everyone that they speak with. And that's my truth. And that's what I stand on. And that's the foundation of my work.
Yes, I love that. Yes, I would say my truth is that I am loved by the Most High God, and because of that, here I am. That's my truth.
Finger snaps.
One thing that you have always wanted to do in business, but you just haven't gotten there yet.
Well, I see myself speaking globally. Like I
Yeah.
see myself doing these workshops all around the world. So that's something that's on the horizon for me. I don't know what the timeline is,
Coming.
but that's something that that I'm hoping for.
Nice. Okay, and then one thing that you would have to say to um, the girl or woman, or maybe woman that you were when you were standing, shaking in your bootstraps in front of that class, as the woman that you are today.
I would say just be real. Just be your real self. Because you're nervous because you're trying to fake. You're trying
Like,
to
get it
mask
together,
stuff.
girl.
Take off the mask. It's going to be all good. So that's what I
And
was
when did you
saying.
come to that? Like, when did you?
So let me see. So that was 1998. That was my very first class. So it probably took me about a year to really, really be comfortable in my own shoes
Yeah.
and not trying to mask that. And when I took off the mask, it was so freeing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I should have done this a whole long time ago. And now I can really focus on my audience. I can really focus on the people that I'm here to serve. They know I'm human.
Yeah. I feel like I learned that at an early age, but a lot of cases women learn that at a very later time. And we miss out on so much because we're like worried about all these things that don't matter. Most cases nobody's even paying attention to that, or like but yeah, I think I love that for you. But I just wish we would get it a lot sooner. A week after your retirement, after you've done all the things, done the thing that your heart just desired for your business, you've been there, you've excelled. Um, how are you feeling? What did you do, and what exactly does that look like?
Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna divide it into 2 weeks.
Okay, it's gonna take some time to soak it in. I get
So the
it.
very first week, so I have a son, a 16-year-old son, and I'm married as well. So the very first week, the three of us, we're gonna go, I don't know, Belize, Fiji, Costa Rica, something like that. Um, and so we'll stay there, for a week and do our thing and just bask in the warmth of the sun. But the second week, I'm gonna go do something by myself. And
Nice.
I'm just going to bask in the glory of all of my accomplishments,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm going to pat myself on the back and say, yes, Carmen, a job well done. You have positively touched so many people. You have helped transform so many lives, from this little piece of work, which is really a big piece. So I'm going to take 2 weeks, and
Nice.
that's what I'm going
I
to do.
love that. Well, I will be the first to congratulate you. Congratulate you. Congratulations in advance. Thank you so much, Dr. Carmen, for sharing your story. I have absolutely enjoyed talking to you. Is there anything that we didn't go over that you like to share, that you like to talk about?
Oh my goodness. I will mention that I do have a wonderful Facebook group called Empower Teen Daughters. You can get there by going to bit.ly, so bit.ly/Empower Teen Daughters. So that's for parents, is for teachers, educators, any kind of community influencers that wants to know how to plant those seeds of body positivity. We have a lot going on in the Facebook group. So I think everything else we covered. Again, I'm looking for those 4 hosts who want to host one of these amazing workshops, either Power to the Period, Rock with Your Menstrual Rhythm, or Fearless Father-Daughter Talks, or maybe you want to host all 3, which is really, really cool. Get those discounts. So yeah, I think we covered it, Queen Erin.
Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you again for showing up, for sharing your business. And I will talk to you soon. What's today? Thursday. I don't know why I keep thinking today's Friday. Have a happy Thursday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, I did it. Again, I think this is episode 23. Um, the joy and the beauty that comes from stepping out on faith, one, and doing the thing that we love and that we're interested in. Like, she has a business based on informing women and men, like informing people about periods. Like, we can create whatever it is that we desire, whatever ideas and plans that we have. All it is to do it, I mean, to it is to do it. I think that was an amazing example of that right there. Like, I just pray that this podcast just reach someone and allow them to be bold enough to step out on. And you have to be very bold to say or to present, especially Dr. Carmen's business, but whatever business that we're doing, we have to stand and be bold in it. So I pray that someone is watching and is inspired. Don't forget to thank God for your blessings. Don't forget to say your prayers. Don't forget to take care of your skin. And if you are a business owner and you would like to share your story, I would love to hear. Contact me on whatever platform that you're watching this on. Message me. I can be found on Matilda's Corner. Matilda's is spelled Metildas, and I'm on all platforms. Well, I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Erin Deal on other platforms. She is Erin Deal on Instagram. I'll link everything in the bottom of the link. I have one more podcast scheduled today, and that's still up in the air. So if not, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.